Hello and welcome to the next Global AI Community episode of AI Tech Day. We're talking about agents today, and thanks for joining, Jose. That's great to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Alexander. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure always.
That's great. Thank you very much for joining. So we are both from Global AI Community, and right now we are here from Karlsruhe and also Zurich. And Jose, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Jose, software engineer. I'm passionate about community, about sharing, about learning, about teaching as well, and lately about the Microsoft Agent Framework. You know that.
Yes, I know this. And this is a topic we are talking about somehow. My name is Alex. I'm Microsoft AI MVP and also trainer for a decade right now and CEO of a company from Germany running Microsoft Consulting Services. But first of all, what is the global AI community somehow? This is the community, the biggest AI community around the world, and we have a lot of members. And we are running two cities somehow, Karlsruhe and Zurich, as you have heard. And there are a lot of groups connected, and we're doing a lot of events somehow. But Jose, how was your joining the global AI community? Why is it this important for us to run this kind of events here?
I think in a way is to mingle with the local community, also to have organized events you would like or I myself would like to join, right? So I started doing that some years ago because there was nothing, at least not on the tech stack that I like. And I think it's a nice thing to happen, right? To generate and organize regular meetings
Mhm.
and also have the ability to bring people from overseas sometimes in bigger events, which usually happens like we did like 1 month ago, a global AI day in Zurich together with you. So
Yeah, that's great. And also to meet the people and speak about the projects, just running on discussions about what is happening right now in AI, what have you done, what can you do better, what is working, what is not working somehow. And this kind of community also drives the passion for us both to go on this journey. As you have seen, there are several also cities from Germany, from Switzerland, from Austria. So we are talking about perhaps only on the German-speaking country, but there are a lot of other countries there around all over the world who are joining here, and also the chapters who are involved. So we have here from Germany the Berlin chapter, Bochum, Cologne, Karlsruhe, Munich, Nuremberg, and Würzburg, and also one in Zurich in Switzerland. Jose is running this. And that is only the few. So you're welcome to join us here. And this is directly linked to GSCIO Zurich to join this chapter here. But what is our call to action? Then we are starting on point talked about AI and also agents. What is the call to action? Learn about AI if you are one of us. So meet and greet somehow. Find and join the chapters in your city. If there's no chapter in your city, then we are happy if you can just connect with us, and then we can just yeah, provide the information how to join or how to create a chapter in your city, how to become active and somehow get involved and grow and become a leader somehow on starting your own chapter. So that is something from the introduction. I think we are ready to go to join our first speaker of the evening, Jose, we will talk here more about the agents. So we swap the stages somehow and talking about the Microsoft Agent Framework. Jose, welcome. The stage is yours.
thank you, Alex. Uh, Please keep along. I like to make this more of a conversation. But yeah, first let's talk a bit about what is exactly the Microsoft Agent Framework. Some people call it the framework, other people call it the Agent Framework, others AF or MAF, which is the official name, Microsoft Agent Framework. It comes from two of our beloved um, agent frameworks from Microsoft. So here we can say when two become one, which is semantic kernel and AutoGen. Being semantic kernel, the production ready, meant to be used by enterprise, which was supporting C Sharp, Python, and Java. And then we have AutoGen, which is the experimental framework used for crazy experiments, usually noted in papers. So it has a huge experimental part, and this part is incredible. And also, it enabled a couple of things that were ported to semantic kernel. And for me, this is something very, very significant. So one thing I like to mention here is if I go to here and kernel GitHub, and I go here and I go to issues.
That's great. You're doing this live. So it's not photoshopped, no screenshots, directly live in action. That's great. I like it.
Yeah, sorry, I have to keep you waiting a bit. Um, come on, GitHub, don't fall down. So
If you're not familiar with GitHub, let us know. We can explain what we are seeing right now. For somehow um, you open the semantic kernel.
yes, so the
That's
next thing, well,
great.
I've been contributing to this a bit, helping to shape it and to build it. I like to think. And one of the
Can you
things,
explain how to contribute to this? Because Microsoft is running this one, as I understand. Is it
yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I will give me a moment because one thing I put some time ago, and the other is not. Yeah, it's Titan collaboration with AutoGen, which I like to show is yeah, develop agent and chat workflow as graphs. So I started some time ago, thinking that was July 12, 2024. So about last year, and I proposed that hey, we should do this with graph notation because we are having line graph, which is working very well. We can traverse a graph, we can do some interesting math, and I did kind of even a proof of concept with Neo4j, a database I love. And another thing is type in collaboration with the AutoGen team, which I do not only propose that, but to collaborate, but suggested that it would be nice that semantic kernel is used as the base core for AutoGen, and then AutoGen to build on top of it, right? And that was also about July 2024. I did that after some pull requests, right, done in the agent framework. So one of the, sorry, on semantic kernel, one of the things that I do recommend, and I go to the code meanwhile, is that you can start by looking at your favorite technology. In this case, for example, usually it's on the samples, and see if you can contribute a sample. You can go
Mm.
to getting started, see what is in there, what is missing, and say, hey, what if I do this? Or simply start contributing with that if you think it makes sense. Usually the team is very nice and they will gladly accept this. Of course, you don't want to do that in semantic kernel, and this is
So you're
the,
a little bit too quick, perhaps for someone. So that is
yes,
a repo on the GitHub from Microsoft, and
exactly.
they develop this kind of framework, not only agent
Mhm.
frameworks, earlier semantic kernel somehow in other
Yes.
frameworks also, and they put this on GitHub so you can try it on your own.
Mhm.
But then
Exactly.
if you see something that you can then explain, or perhaps saying, okay, there is something on functionality you like to have, then you can contribute somehow. And you have done a lot of work here. You showed us in 3 minutes 3 different issues. I think you reported there. Is it
Oh
right?
yes, there's some.
That's why I'm
So
saying you're a little bit quick somehow. Take your time
yes,
a little bit. Explain more, please.
yeah. Well, these I've been collaborating since a bit. I think no,
Hmm.
mid 2023, right? Almost a bit after
Hmm.
it started. So there's some issues already from my side. And
Nice.
also, if you go to pull request, my
Mhm.
username at GitHub is JOSLAT, which come from my name, from Jose and Latorre. So you can check that very openly. And yeah, This said,
That's
I'm
that's
closing
nice.
closing this. These all are not mine, but for example, pull requests, how I started is how you can start. So, well, in this case, I did implemented some extra functionality that I thought it makes sense, and they approve it. So that's it. And then I added some handlebar syntax example, some things I was using, and I thought it was missing a clear example on how to use the handlebars. Handlebars is a prompt templating system for semantic kernel,
Hmm. Hmm.
and also it can be used for other promptings as well.
Okay, now I like this one. Understand more. So you provided functionality to this repo, and Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
accepted this and took this coding examples or what you provided then from this request from a pull request. You said there are 69 requests, and you have done how many? 10 already?
Yeah, 10. All of them are closed pull requests.
Nice, nice. That's cool.
Yeah. Here, there are not that many, of course. This is kind of 1 month old agent framework,
Sure.
and there are a lot as well. But
Hmm.
what I do recommend is that you clone it, you take a look, you try to build it, and run it, and you can run the tests and demos. And here, I have not that many, but I have created already some issues. Some are
Hmm.
closed already. And pull request, I started with the same that I recommend with an example.
Hmm.
So of the closed, I started with sub workflow to showcase the basically sub workflows, how you can do composability and create a workflow inside another workflow.
Hmm.
So that's basically it. And
Okay,
there are a few more.
I put the link in the chat. So if you want
Yes.
to go for Microsoft Semantic Kernel, somehow you can just put it there.
Hmm.
That's the first one. So Semantic Kernel is the I don't think it's old one, but it's something what
Hmm.
Microsoft also you saw you were saying the presentation was Semantic Kernel and Agent. Um, um, can you go for the slide, please? Slide to the slides
The
back.
slide?
Yes. So
Yes.
the AutoGen, you have seen here that is in the Agent framework, you have both. What is the second one? The AutoGen.
AutoGen, what do you mean? What is the second one? It's an experimental framework,
Mm-hmm.
mostly active in the Python branch. It has a .NET branch
Mm-hmm.
lead by Xiaoyun San. Um, but yeah, both of them are getting integrated. So we get the best of both worlds, right? Which is a phrase I really like and something which
Mm-hmm.
was really, really, really missing in
Okay.
semantic kernel. So I tried to shape, and some of my contributions were on the process framework. Some parts were the team listened, and others, well, I guess there were a lot of things going on. So, and
Mm-hmm.
also maybe this change was already coming about this merge. I do not know.
That's
Uh,
great. So I put the AutoGen also in the chat. So if you want to understand the actually complexity and also the greatest possibilities of the new framework, perhaps you also can check the semantic kernel for itself and AutoGen for
yeah,
itself. And now we're talking about the agent
yes,
framework.
exactly. So basically, the agent framework combines both walls, and it does so in a very, very nice way. The main difference at the moment, and this is something very important, this is in public preview. That means it's not production ready. Semantic kernel is. So they plan
Mm-hmm.
to have these, they have made it public that this will go in GA general availability about Q1 2026, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not fully confirmed. And I like that because the team is listening, people are using, they are making contributions, they're having a lot of breaking changes, which is really, really good because these changes are needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I myself, I'm also responsible for some of them or helping to push some of them, which is kind of nice. So thanks to the team for that. All right.
Nice.
So
Nice.
this is the DNA. And then one of the nice things is that the agent framework is built on standards. So it's supporting by default MCP, is rooted in Open API, And then it also supports A2A, which is agent-to-agent protocol, to find and collaborate with other agents provided by whoever we want. So it can integrate. And MCP is kind of the USB for adding any tool to any agent, right? So it's a standard. It's a model context protocol that, between other things, what it does is to provide um, functions and extensions of abilities and gives abilities to the agent to do different things, usually focus on one server or one concrete task. Does it make sense? All right. And then there's a lot more. So it's integrating a lot with Microsoft, like Azure AI Foundry is ready to interconnect and to interoperate, ready for any other thing, like, for example, OpenTelemetry with Elasticsearch and any other provider, and ready to connect with a lot of vector databases, like, for example, MongoDB or Pinecone or others, Cosmos DB, etc. And of course, ready to integrate with other components like Logic apps to deploy an agent as a Copilot Studio agent for the low-code platform, and then to interact with other frameworks, like, for example, KYI. I think we have one question from, oh no, you made it. How is your
No, it's
experience with
just a
Microsoft Agent
comment.
Framework?
How is your experience in Microsoft Agent Framework? So we're asking
Hmm.
the participants on their experience. We'll see
Hmm.
what we're getting back somehow. That's
Yeah.
just interaction.
So let's go a bit ahead and show a bit um, something, right? First,
Mhm.
I like to talk about what is exactly an agent. An agent, you can see, some
Yes.
kind of creature that lives. At the end, it's a software construct that is executing somewhere, either in the cloud, in your computer, wherever you deploy it. And basically, it has a brain. The brain is at the heart, is the large language model. At the moment, it's a large language model. In the future, can be something else that drives reasoning, understanding, and decisions. It's what makes it autonomous and adaptable, if we want it to be autonomous, that is. Then we have the tools. Surrounding the brain are the tools. These are the functions and APIs that the agent can use, letting it take action or access fresh data dynamically. This, for example, can be provided by an MCP or not. It's your choice. Then we have the concept of the thread. I really don't like this name because it's not intuitive what it is doing, but we can or we cannot give a thread to an agent, which is kind of a storage of one execution of this agent, where it can as well store memory. Memory by default is the conversation memory, and on another side, you can plug and customize this as you want. Then we have the input, hello, yes, which is what the user or other agent gives to this agent, right? And of course, we have the output. So it gets an input, it thinks what to do, uses its memory, uses its tool, and then gives it back as an output. And then we have something special here, which is the middleware. This was missing in Semantic Kernel, and now we have it in full splendor. This is one of the things that enable a lot of powerful things in AutoGen, which is middleware. Middleware is like a middleman. You can put it in the middle of different calls and intercept and do whatever you want. Enrich messages, enforce policies, log activity, or manage data, or do some pre-processing or post-processing, making agents safer and more scalable. And you can put it on the tool calling, on the input, and on the output. And that's basically it. Of course, there's one more thing, which is observability. Now it's integrated with OpenTelemetry. We can observe and see what the agent is doing, what it's doing, exactly when it's doing, so you can monitor it properly and see what goes well and what not. Together, these components transform agents into a powerful, trustworthy, and flexible collaborators ready to take on real-world challenges. I like to show something, demo, and maybe do some more demos. So let me jump here. So I got a folder, I have it created, and then I will create a new console application, which I call 3-minute agent. We'll close. Yes. I'm adding Azure AI OpenAI and Microsoft Agents AI OpenAI. Okay. Let me go there and do that again. And add this one. And now I have the 2 packages that I need. And here, don't need this. And I can simply add some usings. I can add some environment variables because we don't want to write secrets on the code. And if we are using nullable, we want to be sure we are doing it right. And I can create the client and to see that it goes well. We created Azure OpenAI client with the URI endpoint and Azure key credentials of the key that I have taken from my configuration. And yeah, that's not all nice. Let me put that a bit nicer. Here, I'm creating the AI agent. And I'm creating an agent that is good at telling jokes. And now the only thing pending is basically to use it. So I'm asking to tell a joke about a parrot, and then like a parrot, right? And we can simply run it. And if everything goes all right, yeah, why couldn't the parrot play cards? Because he was standing on the deck. Yep, and then the other one. I'm not going to read that, not like a parrot. So you see how easy it is to use it, right? Create an agent and use it. And of course, the client to connect the agent to your resource. That's basically it. You can do a lot more things. So you tell me, Alex, how much time do we have? Are we good in time
You can
until?
take, yeah, we are great in time, but you skipped something like this one. You were on Visual Studio Code, and
Yes.
now you are using Visual Studio, as I see. Is
Yeah,
it
I
right?
wanted to do this live, right, in raw,
Mm-hmm.
and I have some demos that I've been playing around and creating. Some of them I have ported, right,
Oh,
to
nice.
um, the agent framework.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is
That's nice.
pretty,
You're good on time. Please continue.
yes. So I will show this because this is very, very nice. One that I call it a chat with superpowered assistant. So I'm creating again an Azure client. I'm creating a chat client to talk with the deployed model, GPT-5 chat. And then I'm creating Johnny, a friendly assistant which can check weather, find and book restaurants, update the calendar, show the full schedule, book transportation, basically like a super secretary that can do it all for you, right? And then I tell it to be proactive, helpful, consider the weather, existing calendar, etc., and some guidelines which are important. This is called placement, right? So things I want it to remember, even it's clear, and tell it a bit how do I want the output, and then give it all the tools, right? So this is quite fake. So these are the tools. So I'm simply returning a weather. It's always sunny and warm. We like to have this to happen. The today agenda, it's this one, and also it can change and evolve. And we can also search for restaurants, which is quite predefined what it finds. But basically, this would be very easily uh, pluggable through MCPs, right? So we have it fake to have it happen very fast. And then I have a book transport, which sometimes it fails, like a 20% failure rate to make things a bit more down to earth. And then it can add elements to the calendar as well and manage your calendar and print the calendar as Markdown. Nothing more, nothing less. So let's go back to here. And um, I have as well some different coloring and then a loop where I am until I say quit that I will execute this. So if I want agent demos, function, structure, output, superpower, assistant, chat with superpower, this I show. I think it's very nice demo, even I'm jumping a bit. And if I execute and I bring it, come on, here, I say, I want that. I want to have a meeting. What times are free today? Yeah, before 9. Yeah. Uh, okay. Meeting today with my boss. So it decides basically these are live tool calls. Add to calendar, meeting with boss, a tool called print calendar, get current date and get weather because I told him, hey, always look at the weather and no.
But this is nice. Let's move on this one. So I see that you are using now here different functions
Yeah.
to get different functionality to your agent. So somehow that's not all provided in a single function because it's not really then great to code. But you requested different add to calendar, print calendar, get current date, and so on, get weather. And then you're asking, okay, I want to do something here. Let's move. And the journey is going here. Yes, to first figure out the weather, as I see, search for the restaurants, then book a restaurant, then add a calendar meeting, and so on.
Yeah. Now I ask it, hey, I want to have lunch with a friend. Book me a table at 12, right? And he got the weather, searched for a restaurant, uh, decided to book me Latorre at 12. And yeah, and and updated the calendar, right? And also now suggested to book a ride.
Let me know,
Yes.
how does this agent goes for the restaurants La Terraza? Is it something you provided that you like it?
Well,
Because you say only 12, only give me a table and for the lunch with friends. So how does this agent got you the right restaurants you want somehow?
yeah. It looked at the restaurants available, and I told it to be proactive, so it decided to book it for me proactively.
Okay.
So it's all in the prompt.
So it's in your history.
Yeah, usually it does not happen, right? So
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
you ask if you don't tell the agent properly, right? It will ask you, hey, what should I
What
do
kind of
every
restaurant?
single
Yeah.
step?
What kind of
Yes,
eat and so on. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So here I didn't tell it. I have some preferences,
Mm-hmm.
but it decided to do that. Sometimes it doesn't. It still asks me, even I told it to be proactive. But he also asked me, "Hey, do you want to book a ride?" And I
Mm-hmm.
just had to say yes, do it, and also to go back. And he look at that and reserve
Mm-hmm. You
an
know why I'm
Uber.
wondering? Because you said only the time and the
Yes.
lunch, but you do not have to say somehow where do you stay now, which kind of restaurant, and so on. So
Hmm.
it can be completely in another city or in another street or also nearby to you. That was something like magic for myself. That's why I was asking how did this agent figured out
And let me show
about
you.
the restaurants. Yes, that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, it's very simple. Technically, I could say, hey, look for restaurants 50 minutes from
For
me,
Italian food,
right?
yes.
Yeah, but
Then you mhm,
by default, for example, it's assuming that the transport to the restaurant it takes 50 minutes. So that's super hard coded, right, for the demo. But it could not be. So it could be a real search on Google
mhm.
API. Probably Google has already an MCP for looking in Google Maps. I gave him the address where I work, and it can look and
Yes.
do
If
that,
you
right?
yes. If you provide more information where you've been and which city and so on, and your radius of for the restaurants, then it's clear. Now we see that you have here somewhere provided for Italian, Japanese, French, and Indian food. So these
Yes.
four restaurants can be picked. So okay.
Yeah. Also, look at the place. So it could
Hmm.
be that it has garden and rooftop terrace because the day is sunny. So it's always when it's sunny, it
Yeah,
tries to
it
look
goes for the
and
best
be
one.
outside.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
sure. Okay,
So
got it.
this is it. I
Okay,
think
nice.
it's another thing because it shows how models can handle these tools in a quite interesting way.
Hmm.
Other demo I have, which is pretty nice. Let me
Let me
show
ask
it.
one question, what I see
Yes.
in the chat. What exactly is the difference to the semantic kernel and AutoGen from earlier to the agent framework somehow? What is the difference? And perhaps I add to this one, why
Yeah.
you said earlier that was really cool that we needed this kind of change to map these two
Yes.
frameworks together because they were divided somehow, and you can use AutoGen, use semantic kernel somehow.
Mhm.
A lot of people have done this one for research for agent consent. Sorry, that's our is our next conference. Sorry,
Yes.
for the AutoGen. Somehow they use for research and so on, and then for production the semantic kernel. Now we have both together. What is the main
Hmm.
difference now for the people who are not familiar, perhaps, for the earlier versions?
Yeah, there are a couple of changes, but mostly is the focus and the architecture.
Hmm.
So in semantic kernel, the focus was the kernel, kind of a orchestrator entity that you bind everything to it, and here there is no kernel. We have agents, and we do everything with agents. So the focus is on the agents and also the orchestration of agents. So
Okay.
before we had some simple chat constructs that
Okay.
were really simple, but it never implemented a proper group chat.
Hmm.
That's a very big word to say, but there were a lot of things missing in there or other orchestration. So we could do what we call sequential chain, where we give one task to one agent, and then we give the output as an input to the next agent, and so on,
Yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah, sure.
So you can have
Got it.
one agent that does a research, the other that puts information in
Hmm.
a proper
Hmm.
format, other that does some validation, and the other that does the final report. So you can do these contracts or put all them in a chat and get them
Hmm.
to work with a chat coordinator. But I never liked this pattern because you have always one middleman, which is the chat administrator.
Manager. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he's basically a bottleneck, right? He
Let
stands.
me yeah let me see the next question directly pop up because semantic kernel you said it's about all of the kernel, but you have to build the kernel, then you got everything to this, but you also orchestrate there the agents. So
Mm-hmm.
after a while, after you're talking, few minutes earlier, you said also you orchestrate the agents on the agent framework. So somehow you're doing the same. Is
Yes,
it right?
but you're doing the same that
Mm-hmm.
in where? What is the statement?
With certain, you will do the same somehow at the end on semantic kernel as also for the agent framework.
Yes and no. So the constructs are limited. You could not chain them. You cannot create a workflow properly. So
Mm-hmm.
before, the process framework was the only thing available. It
Mm-hmm.
was still in pre-release, so it was not really useful, and it kept changing and breaking. You know that. And now we have the workflow system, which is a complete different thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Should we jump into that?
Yes,
or
yes. I see this question directly from the people because if you jump from semantic kernel to agent
yes.
development here with the framework, with the agent framework, you will see that it's a little bit. You were also saying yes and
Mhm.
no, and on this difference, I want to have a little bit of deep dive somehow.
Okay. That would be another session, honestly.
That's great. Let's do it. Let's
Okay.
try. Challenge accepted. Let's go.
Now, okay.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So yeah, how can I show that? I have, for example, this demo, which is a sub workflow, right?
Hmm.
I think that would be one of them. That what I do.
By the way, I like the live coding right now. That's great. That's what the
Well,
people wants to
everything is
see, I
coded.
think.
I'm not doing
Yeah,
live coding,
that's really.
just showing you my
No,
code
you're
I
showing
wrote.
live code. That's great.
Before, yes.
Yeah.
Not now, because these things keep changing and breaking. So I'm not sure. I have not tried this demo, right? In a bit, and I updated all the code like a couple of days ago. Um, I mean, all
But.
the references. So let's see. So we have something we call executors, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
in a workflow, we can add executors or we can add agents, right? This is done in a graph way. So the first thing we do is we create the executors so we can use them later. Executor, think of it is uh, some code that will be executed
Hmm.
in a node in a workflow, right?
Nice. Hmm.
And in the workflow, you can mix normal code and agents. Hmm?
Hmm.
And here we have this one, which is a sub workflow, which is a composite workflow that will start with an uppercase executor, will do a reverse, and then an append, and the output will come from the append. That's it. And this builds the sub workflow. Hmm? Here
Hmm.
I'm printing it with a workflow visualizer tool, which it's one of the things I did for the process framework, and I want this to be as well very good here because I'm a very visual person. And here I create the sub workflow executor, which gives me an executor that wraps a workflow, right? So I can use it. And then I have yet a main workflow, which is that's a prefix. From the prefix, it goes. So this edge is basically drawing an arrow from a node to another one. If
Hmm.
you know graph notation,
Hmm.
this is simply drawing an arrow in the graph. Then we go to the sub workflow executor, executes the workflow that we saw before, and when it finishes, it goes to the sub process, and that's the output. And then prints it in Mermaid, which I particularly like. So if we go here, it's demo 05.
Hmm.
So let me comment this one. Demo 05. Yes, there we go. And we run it. Just saying, I'm not sure this will work because I
I
have
see
not
that's
tried
not the
this.
first time you're using this one, this environment for demos. A lot of things there. Nice.
Yeah, I'm playing a bit. Uh, so this is the mermaid diagram for the first one.
Yes.
So if we do, okay, let me open new private window, mermaid live, and I bring that here. and paste this. This is what we're doing: uppercase, reverse, and append. And these at edge are these lines, right?
Mm-hmm.
If this is also digraph, and this is the other workflow, which you will see is not that nice because at the moment it does not support sub workflows, right? But it's a prefix, sub workflow, and then post process executor. That's everything. And then this is the execution, right? Prefix, uppercase, append suffix, and post process. And that's it.
Nice.
And this is the final output. So basically, I'm just playing with the strings and
Mm-hmm.
doing a few things. Nothing
Yeah,
more,
sure.
nothing less.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. So somehow to summarize right now, if we
Yes.
are talking about the agent framework, and we have two frameworks right now, what do
Hmm.
you think will be the future of its agent framework? What is missing right now? What will be your next issue? If it's not too far away to say
No, no,
something.
no, absolutely. Let me show this one reader critic iteration workflow or software development pipeline because this will talk by itself. Software development, no, this one, right? Sample 14. If this works, right? Because I not sure this will fully work because
Hmm.
this one is very nice.
Hmm.
So I'm trying here to put some steps that do really nothing, right? But
Hmm.
simulate a software development workflow or some rough idea of it. And so this is the mermaid workflow.
Hmm.
So it's a bit more complicated, right, than we have seen.
Okay.
Let me copy it. Okay. I think, yeah, I think we have some issues, still some things that are happening. No, it does not. It's not properly generated.
No
Yeah.
problem. But perhaps we are talking about what is the issue somehow you see. What kind of functionality do we miss?
Yeah, at the moment it's mixing executors with agents, right? So you
Hmm.
have to, they are execute in streaming mode
Okay.
and the executors are execute simply asynchronously. So, and they raise even at turn even when they are raised. But that's going too much in depth here. Um, there is this other one, which is writer critic iteration workflow that
Hmm.
I believe shows it. So it's basically have a writer.
Hmm.
This is implementing the critic paper. I think it's from 2023, but it's one of the most popular. So you have one maker agent and one checker agent or critic. That's why it has the name. And the checker gets the outcome of the
Hmm.
writer, in this case. That's the task I have assigned or can assign whatever, like coding, and reviews it. And if it's not good, gives feedback of what is wrong and it iterates until this is properly done. So
Oh,
think of
nice.
it as a
Hmm.
pull request or a quality control, right?
Hmm.
And when it's approved, it goes to a summary uh, agent or executor, or otherwise it goes back to the writer, and the writer takes the feedback and improves. And I think we will execute this one. The other was nice, but it's not rendering properly. Uh, so I don't think there is too much to see. It's only the process that we can run.
Hmm.
But in this case, sample 17, we can execute it and run it. Yeah, and here we have the diagram, what's going on. And it went to a couple of iterations, so it approved yeah, quite right away. Um, and did I close? Did I close it? Yes, I think I closed it. So new private window, mermaid, and then I paste it. Yeah. So this is mostly it, right? Very
Yeah.
simple writer. Critic, if it's good enough, it
Yeah.
comes back. If it's not good, then it goes back to summary. And the summary gives the output. That's
Mm-hmm.
basically it. So my guess is that in sure we will be writing this once it is GA and some synchronization issues are done in a proper way.
Oh, that's
Uh,
nice. Mm-hmm.
Mixing agents with real code is kind of what was the aim of the process framework, which I really like. Not just agents, but real. You can also wrap agent inside the executor, which I particularly don't like because you miss then that you're using an agent because what is happening inside the executor or node is opaque, right? But yeah, coming back to where did I have it? Yes, here on the issues. One thing I'm working or I have a no even a pull request here is to have labels in the edges.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I want pull request author. Come on, come to me. And this is pending, right? So now they are about to execute Ignite. You know you're going there. And they have frozen all the code, but this is pending. So what you saw before, there were no labels in the edges. There were just the arrows. With this, you can put and infer the meaning so you can see what's going on. I also note that the teams are working in a plugin, and at the moment, I'm not sure that this will be a designer, but once this is done and you can see everything that's been defined, probably they will add a designer. So I think this is where we are going. And I hope that we can simplify a bit the code on the executors. And also that when we have an agent, we need to do some special artifact to grab all the messages of the agent that usually emits through streaming, right? Because this is good because then you can show them in the UI. So,
Mm-hmm. That's great.
but it complicates things.
Mm-hmm. We have one question. How can we host agents? Are those parts of MCP servers so we can build distributed agent system? Can I host them in separate
Mhm.
websites or those are parts of running processes? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the agent framework is already enabling that in different ways. So you can
Mm-hmm.
host them in MCPs. To me, it's not the best way. You can do that, but the system that it's built to host agents and offer agents is A2A, agent to agent. But you can do that with MCPs, so it's up to you. You can do in both ways, right? So yes, you can do that. You can
Great.
also host them in the cloud in Azure Foundry, as far as I know.
Do not go from to my topic somehow because then I have nothing to say. So no, that's
Okay.
a joke. We will speak about the agents and Azure Foundry and Copilot Studio in a moment somehow. But you will see if you like, you can also go with your framework as so far to
Mhm.
show whatever you want. That is not a problem.
Yeah. Okay. One thing what I particularly like is these mixing agents and executors. So
Hmm.
I did some example on how to mix them properly because I had some difficulties and there was no sample. So I added this one. So if you are curious and see what I'm talking about, you can check on the code here. I think it's mostly here. So I'm doing some Synchronization, here I have a jailbreak detector and jailbreak sync, which is the synchronization model that I was talking. And jailbreak sync, where you, I could, this is the executor. Yeah, the sync, this is a sync. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah, so here I'm taking all the original question and gathering everything from the agent and putting that in one single element. So, and then this is the turn token, which is once I have everything, I send the turn token for the next agent to operate upon. This kind of saying, hey, the turn is yours, right? So it's kind of handing over the token to the next agent. So it's kind of the synchronization method which is used at the moment. But you have to code all of these, so it's not that nice. One thing I like is that it would be, but that's very complicated at the moment, that it would be automatic and happen in a transparent way. But yeah, there's a lot of things in there. I was discussing on that. So if you want to see the limits, to me, this is it. I also saw some issues that for me were a bug, right? Still is open like that. And author, it's me. Uh, Executor, cryptic GUIDs, and the other thing, sub workflow visualization. Yeah, for the executor, nothing we need to provide critic workflow. Um, yeah, I think agents. Okay, what's the latest? Okay, that's the newest. All right. There's one of them. Yeah, similarly connect executors and agents without boilerplate. This is the one. Sorry, it took me a while because I created so many, right? At the moment, the biggest problem is connecting executors to agents requires manual glue code that you have to code, and this makes things complicated. When if this was engraved in the edge logic itself, it would make things a lot easier, right? So I propose some ideas how this can happen. Of course, I'm not that in depth, and I've been discussing that with Jacob, Albert, and also a couple. Oh, nice! I did not read these 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and also
That's
discussed that
always
with
happen.
Ben Thomas, which is kind of the lead of the workflow. He was the lead on the process framework, and I'm very happy that he is very involved here on this. So so to summarize, I think the future is where we can add in a simple way agents and code without too much wiring, right? That always makes our lives more complicated. Of course, we got tools that can code for us, but yeah, it's easier if we don't have to write that code, right?
That's nice. So to summarize, if you want to see more from Jose talking about the agents, that will be there on the chapter Zurich, an event or from AgentCon Zurich. And please join us. This is a free event for everyone. We
Mm-hmm.
welcome everybody here. And also, if you somehow are ready to go to speak with us about this or be a speaker on this kind of conference, you are ready for going for the session eyes and submit a talk there, and we will see if you can make this to the conference. So Jose, thank you very much. It was a great deep dive somehow, with a lot of coding, with a lot of taking us on this journey to see the agent framework in action, I would say. That was great. That's cool.
Happy to. Thanks for having me, Alex.
That's nice. So what we then need to do is to talk perhaps about the golden path architecture. We're doing this in a dialogue, as you have seen the talk from Jose somehow, because you see here the Microsoft Agent Framework is right here. So if we are talking today about Azure Foundry for our agent configuration system, where we can create agents, where we get models from Microsoft or also third parties, where we have a lot of tools. We bring perhaps bring your own resources here, so Cosmos DB, Key Vault, Azure Storage, and so on. And then you're going, you see, I was here on the right, then going for the Azure Foundry, going for bring your own resources. There are a lot of some topic, and one of the topics we talk a lot right now is about Fabric. So getting Fabric to Azure Foundry, to also the agent from Copilot Studio, like a knowledge base, not even SharePoint Online, or not only SharePoint Online, what we have done somehow earlier. We started 2 years ago at the build, 2023, to bring your own storage, also Azure Blob Storage to the agents, SharePoint Online to the agent running there on the Azure AI Search, to running on this file search index, and so on. This question earlier, as you have seen, was about, okay, hosting the agent or running the agent and then using them. That is different part of the story, because if you're an end user and you want this one on Teams, this is your UI, so you are facing this agent. What we are talking about here is all in the backend, and you see also MCP servers, A2A, whatever. What Jose was already talked to you somehow is directly inside of this diagram. So what is this means to us? As Satya was saying, Copilot is the new UI for AI. You see here, we are on an end user perspective first. Copilot Chat, Copilot M365 Copilot, for example. That is something you choose as, or you get there, the licenses, you pay the license, and then you're ready to go on this kind of agents. If we are talking a little bit deeper, we can extend this one, of course, with Azure AI Foundry here and Copilot Studio. And of course, there's all of the third parties of third party agents, whatever, they come back from everywhere. So what do we have here is on the left, something what we see on a Copilot. We just get the license to the end user. We are ready to go. We face our Copilot. It could be M365 Copilot or Security Copilot, GitHub Copilot. You get your license, you already use. That is out of the box experience. What we went talking right now is what we see as a question somehow. And Jose, you can perhaps also help me on this one. When you create some agents on Copilot Studio, and when are you going for Azure AI Foundry and run this one on your own? That is, of course, two different platforms, what we see here. That is low code, no code. But this one is right for developers. So you have the most control of your system. You have your own. You can grab the models there. You can control the models. You can fine tune the models and so on. That is something you get as a service from Microsoft here on the Copilot Studio, for example, where you can build this kind of agents. So enough of the a cappella. Let's go for
Mhm.
the demo somehow.
Yeah, but what
You
you
want to add?
mentioned is
Yeah, sure, please.
what you mentioned is completely true. Also, you can generate with the agent framework an agent and
Yeah.
deploy it in Copilot Studio
Mm-hmm.
or deploy it in Azure AI Foundry.
Mm-hmm.
So these two things you can do, and it's designed from the core to be able to do that.
So let's explain this a little bit. So you're creating this agent in your Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio on your local host somehow. Is it
Mhm.
right? That's
Yes,
the first
exactly.
step. Second one would be the question, what we have seen earlier. How can we host agent? Because it's make no sense if the agent is running on localhost. Then only myself as an end user can grab and somehow running queries against. So I want this one to be hosted somewhere else and provide an API or perhaps some different UI somehow for others. So that's why I'm building agents perhaps. Yeah. So
Mhm.
then we can deploy, as you were saying. That's right, to different platforms. So we can choose. You can deploy whatever. If you are here already, you can deploy also here, but you are already inside this Microsoft ecosystem. What Jose was saying is one step earlier somehow, before I running or creating agents here or running Copilot Studio with agents, you can also do it on your local machine, then deploy somehow. As you were also creating the website on your local system and deploy it to AI service, I'm sorry, to the web app on Azure somehow. So it's also running here on the portal. Let me see. I do not have web service here. App service here. You have an app service somehow, and then you have some Teams calling board or something like this. You want to deploy here your extra coding, and then you have to put this code. And this is a website somehow. I don't know which one. That's my test tenant here or from the company. We're running a lot of things here, and then you can you browse your Teams calling board there. For this one, you have to create some coding example or some query code, and then you have to put it there. That's right. So where we start? So low code, no code, or completely development. We can start with the first one somehow. The question is, when do you build your agent with Copilot Studio? That is something you have to mention, of course. That is Copilot Studio. Here you can go for this link and just grab the opportunity from Microsoft to run this one in your platform. When do I use it? And that is somehow the question. It depends. If you are somewhere, you have already your knowledge, your tools, perhaps also your engines for Fabric. You can just create or also get agent for whatever you want. So for Copilot Studio from Fabric, or create your the new one what you not created earlier. Get you some tools and provide this kind of agent that you see here. That is what we are testing this directly through the channels, for example, not only as a website, not only as a web app, not a SharePoint, Facebook, whatever, Slack, whatever we want, but also in Teams. So you're pushing this one from Copilot Studio running as an agent. Perhaps you want to have this one that the user can see this on Microsoft 365, or the user can see this on Teams, so I can grab this one and ask questions. What is the purpose? Somehow I can ask a lot of questions underneath of this platform. We are using GPT-4.1. That is our default somehow. You can also going for, if you edit, you want to get here, you can also grab another models, if you like, for or 5 chat reasoning and so on. You see here also that is something perhaps that is disabled by administrator, that is something on the model side is not enabled. That is something we need to go to the global admin from your portal, from the Power platform administrator can enable. Then you can also going for also third parties if you like. But this is something what you see a light configuration of the agent. And then I can provide some responses, can go for whatever security, because agent does not go for authentication. I can authenticate here with Microsoft directly, because Enter ID is something what is not that unfamiliar somehow to us to use. Notification is not an option. You can go, of course, by yourself on manually way. You can connect a lot of tools. For example, here I added Fabric data agents to run on the or to provide information about sales data from the company somehow. Then you can chat with on this agent. If you allow to hit on this, we are going back. If I'm going for here for the channels, then I create this one on Teams, and then I can ask question through the Teams agent. That will be something from here. I'm on Teams. I'm using Copilot Studio, and this one is connected through the Copilot Studio to Microsoft Fabric, where the company data itself is point to be. What Copilot Studio or perhaps Fabric does not include is perhaps the worldwide knowledge, what we see on the models. So you see, I can grab the models here, I can grab the models there. So the next one will be, perhaps we are going, Jose, you want something to add?
Yeah, but we can also use custom models, right? And these custom
Yeah, sure.
models can have these by default. Um, so we can pick GPT-5 or greatest and latest, or customize and train one and then deploy it and use it. I'm not sure we can do that, but custom models are a go. So technically, we should be able to
Yeah.
cherry pick a model and use it.
Yeah, that's cool. For the Azure Foundry, somehow you have to create a project on your Azure portal, and what we have seen here, we just connected to this kind of resource. For my Azure AI project is just a name. You can add here models from OpenAI or also from your Foundry. For Azure Search or going for storage account, this is something not really old somehow, but it feels old. We started simply 3 years ago to creating to put data in the storage account in the blob storage and then query the data from there. But nowadays we want to have the data somehow in our Microsoft Fabric, for example, and then query the company data. And then you can choose this one in your project. And then you can see here we are going back somehow. And then you see here on the playgrounds, on the agent, I have several agents, and hey, I rate this one great. Of course, they can be connected to different agents, so you can run or select here or deploy here multi-agent systems. So first one is a coordinator, and it's run or it's connected. You see here to another agent, and this one is the agent who is going for the knowledge for this Fab agent to grab this one. If you created already one connection to the Microsoft Fabric, then this one is not allowed, of course. But if we are going, I think it's every single agent is here there, then you can remove somehow the knowledge. So now I would only go for this agent to grab the LLM data, that is GPT-4.1, what we have seen here. So you create your agent, then you can to try this one. Then it only has somehow the worldwide knowledge, not the knowledge from our company that is in Microsoft Fabric somehow, stored on the one lake there. But you can easily grab here and create this connection one more time. Just select this fab agent connect, and then it takes a few minutes, and then the system realizes it's not only GPT-4.1 which is allowed to speak, but also the fab agent, and then you are ready to go to try something there, something like can just asking for records. What time is it in Germany? Let's see. I had never tried this one before. That's why it's telling me that is a Central European time. Okay, are there any records for Melanie Sanchez? Then you see the Microsoft Fabric agent is going to provide me the information here, looking for the reference and so on. There are some issues to appear on. Okay, that is not ready to go because I was adding the Fabric agent. It takes a few minutes, and then I can run this one and show this also
What
live.
does this Fabric connector or Fabric agent provides? What information is there?
There's
Just
a
to fully
sales
understand.
data. Yeah, that is sales data from the company. I'm sorry for this. From the company. So you see the Fabric here, and you see Microsoft Fabric there. You provide this as a knowledge base for the agents to run on perhaps sales data, company data, whatever. Everything of data you have not in an LLM somehow. So you can use LLM for simple question, for small talking, for talking to about the weather, about time, about whatever. Who is Jose, perhaps AI MVP from Switzerland, and then perhaps it knows who we are because the data is publicly available, and so LLM was trained on this one. But if there's something on sales data from my company, then it's not in the LLM for sure. Not in a GPT-4.1, not in GPT-5, or that is a private data from my tenant, from my company, and so on. But I can easily just use Microsoft Fabric to store this data and then provide the connection to the agent to know, to add this as a knowledge somehow. So last but not least, somehow you see, if I want to run this one as a service, to run the not only orchestration, but also to set up the agents, if I need more helps somehow, but also have another tools here as a connector to build these agents, then I'm ready to go on the Copilot Studio. As more you need control from the backend on the models, on the fine tuning, perhaps, Jose, if you were telling about the models itself, you can also fine tune also these models. I grab for one and then I add my own data there. That is not changing in live, because live data would be on Fabric. But if it's something like you train an agent to buy pizza, for example, that's like a small language model. It should only do one task. Then, of course, you need to provide some sample data, provide the possibilities to run only one task. On the LLMs, they have a lot of vision, worldwide vision, whatever, everything we need from what was sometimes almost written anywhere. It can be inside this LLM. And then you put the data, okay, who is the next MVP, for example, in your country or whatever you want. So that is from my point, and this is what we see in a lot of the projects we are running somehow. You see here, okay, where do I start? I can use the out-of-the-box Gen AI and also push from here and also from there, from the middle and from the right to the complete left, to use the Copilot as my UI for the end users. But the question is, what kind of control do you need then to set up? Is it something you want to use Gen AI, but you're not familiar on development and you don't care perhaps about the full possibilities of Azure Foundry? I have shown you only few somehow because it's huge. You see here, you can do fine tuning, you can do content understanding. That will be another story somehow. It's not supported in my region because I was, you see, I was created this one, I think, in that you see here front central, and you see that's only supported in another region. You can go for tracing or see what is happening right now. Of course, tracing you all can also do here to see what is exactly is inside your agent somehow. If you're running here the queries to figure out, okay, what is the threads you are running and so on. Evaluation, there's a bunch of saying on governance, and also here from your data you want to provide perhaps, but I do not want to go for the responsible AI, but you have the most possibilities somehow here to run this one safety and secure, because you have all of this in control. So you can place here content filters, block list, whatever, security alerts if someone is not using your agent right. Does it make sense for you, Jose? What are you saying?
It does.
That was clear.
I think so.
Yes, but don't get me wrong. This Azure AI Foundry, for example, is a platform. If you want to have this all in your control, then you have to do a lot of work. That is something what you are running as a developer. Then you have for example, you're running your code, you store your secrets in the key vault. you have something here from your Azure storage, then you have to put it there. What we right now seeing that we want to orchestrate the agent somehow to build this on the model to see if it's running great or not. So see the loggings, to see the monitoring on how do we run then, and also connect three-party agent. But then we are on the first topic. You see here, I need Microsoft Agent Framework if I'm going on orchestration of multi-agent systems. What you have seen on my side was just, okay, I have one agent on the beginning, and then I can connect another agent running this one as a, what, as you were saying earlier, one agent is a management agent that hits the whole input, and then you're running several agents depending what kind of information you want there to provide somehow. But I think that's it. I want just to clarify, if you are going to put your agents there, what kind of platform can we use here? And I think we are somehow kind of on time to run this one. If there are no questions, I think.
I do have one for you.
Yeah, sure, please.
Copilot Studio agents versus Azure AI Foundry agents.
Yeah.
Which one would you use, and when would you use them? I have my personal bias opinion. So in my company, I'm helping as well in Copilot Studio agents, right?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, what's your take on this?
It depends somehow. You have seen I was chosen here the GPT-4.1 model, as I was also set it up earlier. My model I have choose here was also GPT-4.1. So for the model perspective, I using also here for Copilot Studio the same one as also on Azure Foundry. I can choose both. So I can use from the LLM side the same model somehow. And now the difference is what you're doing on this. Are you running? So you have to do here, for example, if you are running on agents here, you have to do anything by yourself here. So set up the agent, to configure the agent, to do the whole of the work, orchestration, and so on. If you are going for here, Microsoft helps you a lot if you want to. So
Mm-hmm.
it depends on the user who is set up the backend. What kind of user do we have? Because if you are familiar on this one, so perhaps you are on the end user side and you're familiar with Copilots, your first step will be not going from left directly to the right, you're going in the middle, because this is your first position. If you were, as Jose and myself, .NET developer before AI stuff, whatever, build .NET application and so on, and you're familiar with Visual Studio Code, perhaps you're running directly to this one. Then you deploy this and use it. That's it. So it depends who is talking, who would be your end user, where are you going to provide this one, where do you want to host, and what kind of knowledge do you have. Can you do this on in the middle? Can you do this on the right? That is your decision. But what is your opinion on this?
My opinion, there's a high cost of integration if you do that at the moment with Fabric. So there's a lot of things you can do. And
Mhm,
of course, you can always vibe code things, but vibe coding means you have to test it, you have to secure it, you have to ensure that all the pieces are secure. And for that is one of the benefits that comes with Copilot Studio that
mhm,
provides top tier integration, also secure connect
mhm,
connectors in your company ecosystem, right? So
mhm,
that is a big benefit. Even sometimes they don't fully do what you want them to, but
mhm.
it provides a lot of things already done that you don't have to recheck.
Yes, you're right completely, but you said Microsoft Fabric. So from the Microsoft Fabric perspective, this one and also this one, what we see, what we are adding somehow as a knowledge to our agent. So what we have seen here, we have here our agent that we see this knowledge, that is a Fabric data agent. And also here we have seen an agent we create here that is the same one. So that is the agent we created directly. Let me show this one in few seconds. Where do I have? Here is Fabric.
Mm-hmm.
I have to
Thanks.
sign in one moment. And then we are going for the data agent workspace. I have several there. And then I'm not going for the notebooks classification, AutoMail, and machine learning. So because it's completely another storage, we have here our lake house. And there, inside this lake house, there are some sales data, there are some fake data, and so on. And what we see here, it's loading. It's loading. Oh, come on. I have seen that it works. So we get some data. We created the tables, and then you see on the sales. I was asking earlier about Melanie Sanchez. Let's try this one more time here from the data agent, because the Fabric data agent is something like you create this one if it's enabled in your tenant and you have the capacity, and then you grab your resources here, and then we ask, are there any records for Melanie Sanchez? So let's see that this data agent, what we are using from here, is now recognizing we have something here. Yes, they are ringing. If you need, let me know. Oh, that's a great one. You see this analyzed the lake house, and what I
Mm-hmm.
like here is are there any records? And it said if you need more. Okay, yes, please, yes, provide the records. It's just checked if it's there or not. So you see here, let's
Mm-hmm.
see if it's working, analyzing lakehouse tables, and yay, that's it. Here we go. What we get here is for Melanie Sanchez, we found one record here on the date of the third, I think it's July, so it's US return date 2019, and also more than soon. What this data agent does is that creates us a query. So it's a retrieve the more information on the prompt then, and then it goes from the natural language to the SQL query. And going back, you see this is a query going back, and then we got some information here in our natural language. Let me check if is it right or wrong. Perhaps we're going for this one and select this one, and then you see the Melanie Sanchez was here. That was this kind of information. That was this one. We asked this data agent for information that is not available on LLM somehow. So the agent was just doing the job from natural language to query from the LLM for Azure Foundry and to Copilot Studio. We are using this agent, what we created here, before going for settings and publishing. You see here the information we need there. If we set up this agent, we need the workspace ID, and also earlier it was AI skills, and then also the ID from this AI skill. So you have to set this one up on both sides, but then you are using the same somehow. So I'm going to the manage to connected resource, and then you see here if you want to go new connection to the Fabric, you need the workspace ID. So I can easily say Fab2, post here Fab workspace ID and also artifacts ID, both, and then I have new connection to the Fabric AI skill, what is now called Fabric Data Agent somehow. So that is something you can use. So, but this is the same point. Somehow you see the data agent is just a connection from our services to the data on Microsoft Fabric. So we have seen, oh, the Simon is going to say hello. That's great.
Hey, Simon.
Thanks for joining us. That's great to have you here. But we are nearly done somehow, because today we talk about the agents, and today we talked about somehow how or where can we go to host the agent, what is the difference, and somehow you can put all of these things together. And yeah, that's it for, I think, for this time. Thanks for joining, Jose. It was a pleasure to speak with you. I'm doing this also in dialogue for nearly 1.5 hours right now. But yeah, that's really cool. Thanks all for joining, and see you on the next Global AI Community event in a bit.
See you, and thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks you. Thank you for the conversation, the questions. That's great.
Glad to. A pleasure.